All right, what's going on, guys? So today we're going to be talking about 4 variables you can change to increase the intensity of your workouts. I gave it all for you. So you've been training for a little bit, the workouts are starting to get stale, you're not getting the same amount of growth that you started with. How do we start changing things up? Well, I'm going to give you guys 4 very simple and effective variables you can change in multiple different ways to kind of switch up your workouts and keep growing stronger. Let's hop right into number 1. This is the most obvious one, weight. So you can increase weight, you can decrease weight, you can keep it the same. The easiest way to keep progressing forward is to keep trying to increase in weight. So if you've been using a certain weight for a long time, try upping it by a little bit. It's going to increase the intensity. It's going to increase the strain on the muscle. You may have to lower the reps a little bit. So let's say you're doing the old weight for 10 reps. Maybe you up the weight a little bit and now you're doing it for 8 reps. It's going to increase the amount of weight you can do. And then you'll work those reps back up to 10 eventually, but you might have to reduce them the first time you change the weight up. You can also decrease the weight. So if you've been lifting very heavy, but maybe the form hasn't been perfect and you want to switch things up and get that proper contraction so you can really feel the muscle you're trying to work, lighten up the weight, go with a weight that's easier to control, easier to feel, do it slower, do it for more repetitions, whatever you need to do to allow you to have a better mind-muscle connection instead of just throwing the weight around. This is a lot of times better than adding more weight. A lot of times first we have to go back to the basics and make sure we're doing the exercise correctly before we get into adding more weight. And I can tell you on a personal note, I've gone back and reassessed my form years down the road on many different exercises. I have gone back to doing way less weight in squats many times just because I constantly learn new ways to do it better, and I constantly find myself getting into these bad habits that I have to then go back, get out of, and rebuild. So don't think that it's just a beginner thing. Anybody can take the time to self-assess, go back, lighten the weight, and do better. The last thing is make it harder on yourself. So you might not want to increase or decrease the weight. You can just mechanically make the exercise harder. So I'll throw an example on the screen here. Instead of sitting completely upright for these bicep curls, I lean back and I shoot my elbows out in front of me. This puts a ton of stress right on the bicep. It takes out any of the momentum I can use because I'm locking the arm out static in front of me and then I'm curling it back up. All of the energy has to be generated by my bicep, so I'm mechanically making the exercise harder. Step number 2, variable number 2, tempo. Now, tempo is huge. All of my clients, I include tempo for every single exercise because I want them to understand exactly what they should be lifting, what they should be aiming for when it comes to contracting against the weight, holding the weight at the top, lowering the weight, and resting at the bottom. A lot of people, you'll find, they just like to move weight around. If you're trying to build muscle, if you're trying to get stronger, if you're trying to grow bigger muscles, it's not about moving weight around, it's about working the muscle. So a lot of times, if you're moving the weight around, the muscle's not actually working, you're using momentum, and you're really just kind of cranking on your joints and your ligaments. That's how you get injured. We don't want that. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to adjust the tempo. Now, you've got a couple different types of tempo that we can go with. You can do your average tempo. That's going to be what I call maybe like a 2-1-1-1. Now, yeah, what the heck does that mean, Will? Let me explain. The first number is going to be the seconds it takes to lower the weight, the eccentric portion. That's that bicep curl on the way down. I like to lower it in 2 seconds instead of 1 because that makes me focus on feeling the bicep a little bit. I'm not doing a ton of extra time here, but I'm just letting it fall down. And the rest is I rest at the bottom for 1 second, I contract it back up for 1 second, I squeeze at the top for 1 second. So 2-1-1-1. The next tempo you can go with if you're really trying to work on your form, work on your mind-muscle connection, and maybe lightening up the weight a little bit, is what I call a 3-1-1-2. This is 3 seconds down where I'm really focusing on feeling the muscle as it goes down. I'm not resting at the bottom. I'm contracting up in a second, and then I'm holding that peak contraction for 2 seconds. This has added 2 seconds to the lift. It's added an extra second at the top where we're holding it for an extra second and an extra second as we're lowering the weight. This is going to allow us to focus more on feeling the muscle. It may have us lighten up the weight, but overall I find that when my clients do this, they see the greatest results. So this is a huge piece. If you haven't, really try doing some slow tempo training. I guarantee you, you'll be much more sore and seeing a lot more results if you haven't done it before. And then of course there's bad tempo. And you do not want to be lifting with bad tempo. Nobody wants to be lifting with bad tempo. Bad tempo is just really like what I would call a 1-1-1-1 And unless you're at the very end of a workout, let's say that you've been banging out perfect 3 1-1-2 curls, and at the very end here, you've run out of gas, then you can pump out some very quick 1-1-1-1 curls. And again, I don't talk like this. I don't call them this all the time. This is just for this example. But we can bang out those quick curls after the slow curls to finish off the muscle. But for the most part, you want to start with a tempo-based workout or a tempo-based exercise. You don't want to jump right in with no tempo. Point number 3. Point number 3 is rest. So a lot of guys, they like to chit chat, like to talk. Yeah, basically a lot of people, they like to take their time in between sets, and honestly, you don't know how much time you're taking half the time. Like for me too, once I started tracking it, that I realized, oh my gosh, like I take extended rest times, and that's why I'm looking at this workout. I'm like, say you can do this workout in an hour, and I'm here like 2 hours later. Like, are you kidding me? How can you do that? This is how, if you stick to your rest times. So one of the quickest ways to make a workout more intense, and this is definitely more intense on like a overall like standpoint for your body. You're gonna be sweating more. Your whole body's gonna be way more tired. You're gonna burn more calories. Is if you keep the intensity up there by lowering your rest time. So let's say on average you track and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm resting like 2 to 3 minutes between every set. If you lower that to a minute, the intensity in your workout is gonna go way up. You may not be able to lift the same amount of weight you were, but you're gonna get more of a metabolic pump. And if you're looking to get bigger muscles, it's really gonna help, because that increased blood flow is gonna give you a bigger hypertrophic response, which is just a really fancy and egotistical way of saying you're gonna get bigger muscles. So I'll just say it that way. You're gonna get bigger muscles from it. Now, I do wanna give one caveat here. Don't think that you need to do a minute rest on every exercise. Some exercises towards the end of the workout, yeah, it's better if you're doing low rest. At the beginning of the workout, where you're focusing on that first exercise that's really based out of strength, you want to take 2 to 3 minutes there, because you want the muscle to be fully rested before going back into it and challenging the strength again. Only when you're challenging more of the hypertrophy and the endurance of the muscle is it better to lower the rest times. So if you're looking at your whole workout, think first exercise and maybe second exercise. I'm not so worried about the rest times. All the exercises after that, yeah, I'll try to lower the rest time and increase the intensity of my workout. All right, last piece here is range of motion, ROM. You'll see it all the time. People with bad range of motion, and they will have a myriad of excuses as to why that is. The greatest advice to you is pick exercises that allow you to complete them with full range of motion. At the beginning, I want you to complete every exercise full range of motion. It allows you to feel your muscle in all of its aspects when it's fully extended, all the way to when it's fully contracted. And it allows you to get the most growth out of the workout, right? If your muscle's made to work from A to B, work it A to B. That's going to give you the most results. If you're only working it halfway through there, you can only expect to get half of the results. Now, there is a time and place for what I'll call partial reps. It's not at the beginning of the workout. At the very end of maybe your last set, let's say the goal was to get 12 reps, and you're doing strict form, and you've got to 8 reps on those tricep push downs, and you just can't get another one, then it's okay to shorten up the range of motion, as I'm showing on the screen here, and pump out a couple partial reps. As you can see, they're not like the partial reps I showed before, the bad ones, where it's like there's no range of motion. There's still relatively full range of motion, but I've made it mechanically easier by keeping the rope together, and I've shortened the range of motion with each rep, trying to get to that number and pump as much blood into the muscle as I can, even though I've passed the point of being able to do it with good form and full range of motion. I would not recommend doing this for every exercise throughout the workout. That's a recipe for an injury. Again, very end of the workout, last piece, great way to finish it off. And end the workout after that. Don't throw it into everything. All right, guys, with that being said, that is my 4 tips to increase intensity in your workouts, help you guys get stronger, get faster, get leaner, get more toned, get more muscle. Whatever it is you're looking for, these tips will help, because with increased intensity comes increased results. So whatever you're looking for, if you've increased the intensity of your workouts, you're one step closer to that goal. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please slap a like on it. I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. If you're looking for coaching, feel free to email me. My email's down below. And I hope to see you guys in next week's video. Peace.